cool if I like post a little picture?
Yeah, go for it. And I just kicked it off, so I'll intro and then you can take it away. So welcome back, everybody. I have a new guest on today, it's Michael, right? Michael
Yeah, Michael.
Castell Collectibles. I will post. I have it in the description below. You can go follow him as well. We've known each other for the past few months. He's a really good dude to talk to. Here is his Instagram for anyone watching this back. And yeah, we're gonna go over a few things today. Obviously, we'll touch on the market a little bit. I didn't even have it in the agenda, but I do want to. Obviously, I feel like the biggest elephant in the room right now this week is Fantasmal Flames, as well as this Pokemon Center botched drop, I guess, that happened today. So we can talk about that a little bit. And then we'll also go over. So Michael here, I'll let him talk to it more in a bit, but he is a online store who primarily sells Japanese, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we'll go into that and kind of I guess your backstory and experience with business and maybe some common misconceptions, pros, cons, do's and don'ts for starting a Pokemon card business. I think that could be helpful. And yeah, quick shameless plug for myself. As always, I have a free Discord called the ZenForce down in the description below. You can buy, sell, trade, as well as talk, collecting, investing, all that jazz. So now that we got that out of the way, Michael, if you're done or if you're ready, if you want to introduce yourself
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe just a quick backstory on you, what you do, how you got into Pokemon, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Right on. Yeah, thanks, Zach. My name's Michael. My last name is Castellanos, so that's where Castell comes from. It's a sort of a family heirloom business now. Originally, I was a lifelong collector, mostly Yu-Gi-Oh, and I fell out of the loop for a while as we age, of course, and then I went back into it around late 2019. So right before the COVID boom, I started buying Yu-Gi-Oh again, and I opened up an Instagram page called Yu-Gi-Oh Pro Shop, which originally I was doing like marketing for my eBay page, and I was selling singles on eBay. And then somebody told me, "Hey, why don't you sell like directly on Instagram? I would love to just buy from you right here and cut out the middleman." And I was like, "Really? I never thought of that." So I ended up sort of being there was claim sale pages. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the term, but there was definitely claim sale pages before me. But when the boom happened, I kind of became like one of the household names for vintage Yu-Gi-Oh claim sales, and that was my business model for years. Fast forward to about November of 2024, after taking many hiatuses and living life and going through career changes and having a baby. Um, I decided like I really want to get back into this and take it seriously this time. So I rebranded to CastellCollectibles, something more generic. I moved into Pokemon because I always knew it was more lucrative. I just wish I was investing in it while we were in the bear market. and um, and then from there, yeah, we were born and we've really been moving. I think I was at like 3K followers as Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Shop is where I peaked, and now we're past 11 and just incredibly grateful for all the opportunity. Definitely a lot of ups and downs and things that we'll cover later on, but ultimately it's been a hell of a ride. So great experience.
Awesome. And so just in case I missed it, so do you do this full time?
Oh yeah, you did mention that, and no, you did not miss it. So I do not do this full time. I do have a full time job at the moment, and yes. So
So it's part of the grind, man. So
that's right. It's the
it's
5 to 9. So
yes. The 5 to 9 after the 9 to 5.
that's right.
Um so you started out in Yu-Gi-Oh and then transitioned to Pokemon because was Yu-Gi-Oh slowing down at the time, or were other people asking for Pokemon, or was it just kind of the liquidity aspect of
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So it was definitely the liquidity. Um, I would say I had really good timing. I just didn't make the best decisions because, like I mentioned, November even October was when I started buying Pokemon, and that was real. That was like right before surging, so it was right before things really started to get out of hand. And part of it was like, I want to say it was nobody was asking me for it. I just made the choice. I was like, you know what? I think I've kind of peaked in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like there's such a it's such a contrast to Pokemon. I would say like the fan base is 100x smaller than what Pokemon is. Like our vintage PSA 10 slabs go for, they were going for under 1,000 most of the time. Like as a first edition vintage PSA 10, like secret rare top of the line chase card from a set would be like $1,000 or $1,300, and it's just compared to Pokemon, like that's unheard of. So modern cards go for more. So I always knew that Pokemon just had a much higher, if not even infinite ceiling from what we're seeing. There might not even be a ceiling. So I knew like long term, if I was going to do this, I would have to integrate Pokemon. So I decided to take that plunge because I was basically stagnant for a long time as Yu-Gi-Oh. Uh, and I,
Gotcha.
yeah, haven't really done much of it since. I do have some fantastic loyal customers who always check in with me and see when I get new product, and I want to keep it because I love Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, from like a business standpoint, Pokemon is just infinitely better.
Yeah, it's just hard to get product now, probably as at least English product as a
Oh
store,
yeah,
I think. But
it's brutal.
so let's transition then into, I guess, the state of the market. So, what are your thoughts, or how are you feeling on where we're at right now? It feels like, to me personally, it feels like things are, I don't know, like every week that I get on here, it continues to surprise me that, and this is maybe just the nature of how markets work, where they kind of keep going until the demand goes away, or Pokemon reprints enough to. Um, I think the booster box thing is really what I want to get into, because I think that is like the one aspect that's causing prices to keep going up as opposed to stabilizing or coming down. That's just my personal opinion, because they obviously are reprinting Prismatic as much as they possibly can. I don't know if they can reprint it any more than they are. The demand is just like quenching it, I think. But as far as what I'm seeing with the rest of, I guess let me get your thoughts overall, and then we'll go into kind of my thesis on the booster boxes. So, how are you feeling right now? Let's talk first about English, because that's mostly what I deal in, and then we'll talk about Japanese as well and what you're saying.
Yeah. I just need to let. I'm here, but I just need to let my cat out of my
Oh
office.
yeah, please do. Animals are very important.
Yeah, she's being finicky. Okay. I was hoping she'd just hang out on my lap the entire show. All right. So, yeah, great question. And there's so much. So I'm trying to compose my thoughts. I
I guess just to start, like, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's dragged on too long? Do you feel like it's good, bad, somewhere in the
so
middle?
I think I share a similar sentiment to maybe you, perhaps. I feel like you spoke on this. I thought we were going to have a much greater lull period than we did. Like, I really thought heading into the summer, things were going to calm down. They were going to cool off a little bit and stagnate, or maybe even we'll see some, uh, a little bit of a drop. And I think that lasted like 3 weeks. And I don't really know what the cataclysmic event was, or the catalyst that caused us to start running again. But that's my first thought, is like, why are we running so much? I mean, it's just so crazy. And I have my, like, we all have our tinfoil hat theories. I just think there's so many eyes on Pokemon, and there's so much money in Pokemon that we, the people, so to speak, don't have the power to like slow it down. Like the powers that be, the people with the deepest pockets and wallets, and the celebrities and athletes who are seeing the buzz and want a piece of it, or coming into it, like, and they literally make millions of dollars. It's like, what am I going to do? What are you going to do to stop that? It's just gotten so big, and I'm constantly at awe every time I open collector, and I'm like, what the price is what now? Like, it's just insane. So I really thought there was going to be a bit of a calmer period before heading into Q4 and the holidays, and that just didn't happen. And I've kind of just thrown my hands up and said, all right, well, we're heading into 30th after this. Like right now, like megas are back. I mean, the hype is just not going to die down anytime soon. And um, I do have like a funny question, not funny, but I have an interesting thought experiment I want to have with you regarding Phantasmal Flames. But for now, I just think like there's nothing that can stop us from running. And that's coming from someone who's very low leveraged. Like I don't have a lot invested at all. So I just think it's fact, unfortunately.
I think I probably took most of what you had when we traded at the time.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. No, the slabs are actually. I still
I
have
mean, like even
like
some of
dude, that
those though.
Gengar. Yeah, the Gengar Mimikyu, the 9. I still have it. I'm up like $300 on it or
Yeah,
something.
I
It's
think,
crazy.
and also
Yeah.
like even the bubble Mew Japanese at the time, I think was like maybe 280 or 300. I think it's like 700-800 now because the
Yeah,
English is
it's
like 2
insane.
grand. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's insane.
I will say, what do I want to say? I think so. My thought on why it's not my biggest thought on why it's not slowing down, especially in the summer, is I think a lot of people were banking on the fact that Mega Evolution was going to be printed into oblivion, and that would sort of then trickle back to um, the other Scarlet Violet era sets. I think what's happened is that since people, from what I understand from people with distro access, is that I guess it's coming in 2 waves. So there's going to be a 30 or 40% allocation wave, and then the rest of it. I think part of the issue there is that if those things aren't happening like in a fast sequence, we're going to have really not enough on the market to quench the demand, especially once these streamers start getting it in hand. I think it's going
Hmm.
to dry up like ridiculously quick. But so I think that's part of it. I think also, again, the kind of the purpose of my the thumbnail or the title is that it really seems like unless Pokemon reprints booster boxes, like ETB reprints, for example, they do nothing. Like we have or nothing to booster box prices, and in some cases pack
Hmm.
prices. It seems like it's very product specific at this point, where they reprinted Surging ETBs and Twilight ETBs. Both of those were close to $100 in ETB, and now they're down to like maybe mid to low 70s. But the
Hmm.
boxes have like gone up. Like Surging went from like 240 to 260. I
You know
think
what's
Twilight's
happening?
over 300.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
hundred
nuts.
percent.
And I know, I mean, at this point, you can't really think that they are doing it's happening on accident. It has to be intentional. And we'll talk about it in a second. I mean, I've heard murmurs or rumors about a possible Destin Rivals booster box reprint, but I mean, I don't think unless it's a really meaningful amount, I don't know if we'll see a significant dip in the market. Even if we do, what's it going to go to? 280, 270? Like, I mean, the lowest it went was 240, and that's kind of the problem too. Is that like they really are kind of behind on a lot of sets to where even if Destin comes down, um, you still have SV base and Journey together that are like 230, 240 a box or whatever. So it's going to be hard when the rest of the
Yeah.
market is like the floor is so high. Like you can't have Destin drop to like 180 or 200 and have those sets be up there. And so
Hmm.
I'm curious to see what they'll do. But I guess a question I have for you is, and this seems obvious, but do you think that the impact? So I just explained a scenario where the impact from reprinting other products like ETBs or whatever, it doesn't seem to have much of a meaningful impact on booster box prices, for example, and in some cases it has like a negative impact, like it causes the opposite. Do you think that if they were doing those sort of reprints, like with Surging ETBs or Twilight ETBs, do you think it would be different if we were in a bear market? Like, do you think it would impact booster boxes more, for example, in that case? Or maybe not a bear market, but even a normal flat
Right,
market?
a normal flat or like yeah. Um, I think it. I do think it would. I think that these ETB, like in the surging example, the ETB booster bundle, Costco bundles, like we're seeing those everywhere, right? And just the standard ETB wave that we're gonna get from Pokemon Center as well. Like it's they are doing their best to flood the market. which is, I think, having an impact on the demand of like the actual set, and maybe preventing like some of the singles even from continuing to rise. Um, and I think that the context is absolutely important. So like because we're in this market condition that we have now, I think what's happening is people are seeing, okay, they're printing, and this might just be like, I don't even know, hearsay or like just my imagination. I think people are thinking, okay, they're printing everything other than booster boxes. Booster boxes are safe. Let's go buy those. Or like
Right.
let's keep those strong. Because it's kind of true. Like you said mentioned earlier, I don't know if their Pokemon is doing it intentionally or by accident, but they don't really like booster boxes seem to be the last thing they want to reprint. And I'm starting to think it's because like, they're taking this whole direction of like wholesale and big box locations. Those don't sell booster boxes, like they sell the other like product lines, and who knows, maybe margins are better on those. I don't think so, but maybe they are. And well, probably because Pokemon makes a bunch of random stuff, and they can package it all and repackage it and make all these weird,
Yeah,
collection boxes. And
do you know if I don't know if you know, but do you know if they when they sell to like a Walmart or a Target, do they sell direct to them to big box as opposed to going through a distributor? I'm assuming that's the case.
yeah,
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
And
So they're cutting out
hopefully
the
I'm not wrong.
middleman essentially, and then
Correct.
also LGS's whatever booster boxes do go out there, LGS's are getting it, but it seems like the floor again for the not only the wholesale distribution price, but also whenever there are reprints, the price is so much higher. It's like
Mm-hmm.
10-20% lower than market. And so stores aren't able to probably buy as much and they have to sell like pretty much
Higher.
at market. Yeah, at
Mm-hmm.
market or higher. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's no way for the price to go down if the stores aren't undercutting each other and everyone's just holding or hoarding product. So it is
Exactly.
kind of a perfect shitstorm right now. Um,
It
yeah,
it really is. And
yeah,
I don't think, unless Pokemon, prints a bad set, like unless they make a really bad set, that stunts the growth and stunts the hype, or they actually do a reprint where they just, like a Champion's Path situation where they just dump and flood the market into oblivion. Um, I don't think it's gonna slow down, unfortunately. And it's like you said, it's like it's almost like we're swimming up a river, and like the water's just getting faster and faster and faster. So all we can do is swim harder and harder and harder. And like there's no, if you slow down, like it's kind of dramatic, but if you slow down, you die. Like if you slow down, you're gonna lose money. And it, I don't know if it's intentional or just a byproduct of too many different elements, but like yeah, it's just insane that Pokemon's cultivated what we're experiencing right now. Either intentionally or unintentionally, and yeah,
yeah.
it's just madness.
It's very impressive that it didn't happen with like a real catalyst. It felt like this time. I mean, there was like a culmination of things happening. I feel like with the election, and you had TCG Pocket dropping. Um, Surging was like beginning to be hyped up a little bit, but it felt like things were so dark last year. And this is something that I really need to like stress to what do I want to say? Stress to people who want to like seriously invest in this stuff is you kind of have to buy it when like nobody wants it.
Hmm.
Um it's fine to buy it like now, but I mean anyone who bought Scarlet Violet era not even I mean just over a year ago, like you are making insane
Same.
200% plus gains on sets that no one cared about. Um, and I mean, even with Sword and Shield too, like I mean, it's mind blowing just how when things really start moving, there is not a single set that feels like it's a screaming buy or an absurd deal right now. Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude. Like even what was it?
let's talk.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that when I started buying Pokemon again, um, like October, November, Fusion Strike boxes were selling for 230.
Yeah,
$230.
yeah,
And now
when I
it's
first
$1,000 box.
that was right when I first did my first couple times vending. I think I started in July, and through like July through December was when I did the most of it. And I think I picked up 4 or 5 fusion boxes between 200 to 220 a piece at those shows. And I was paying like full market. I was like,
Full market, yeah.
this hurts.
It's
This hurts.
crazy, dude. It's so crazy.
Still have all of them because I'm so lazy.
That's a good thing.
Let's dive into Phantasmal real quick, just because I see this is one of my friends. It's also named Zach. Fantasmal Flames. Just waiting for Vivid Voltage to moon over here. So let me share. Obviously, I feel like everyone in the chat has had to have seen it probably at this point, but for anyone that hasn't, Fantasmal Flames is going to be. And I don't know how I feel about sharing this because like we haven't even gotten Mega Evolution and we're already talking about the next set, but
yeah, it's crazy.
it does look pretty cool. I do think it's funny. The Mega Gengar to me looks a little bit like Zarude for some reason from like the Vivid Voltage back art. He's kind of swinging through. Or I thought he was swinging through the vines, but he's not.
Wait,
so yeah, we got Phantasmal Flames. It has a Mega Charizard, Mega Gengar, Mega Lopunny, Mega Heracross. And then we also got the ETB promo, which is a Char Cadet, which this is a super awesome looking card.
Oh yeah, nobody buy it because I'm gonna probably grab like 300 copies.
Super sick. I think he's in a wrestling.
He's in a ring. No, it looks like an MMA, the Octagon.
Okay.
Like
the Pokemon Battle-A-Gon.
Super sick.
Yeah, super dope.
I love it.
And then obviously the other drama is that everyone apparently was able to get these like today, but I had no idea about them. And then there's also I didn't either. I think that was the big contention was that everything sold out before Pokemon even listed it as like products on their site. And then we also got the UPC, which has this mega, what they call it, mega art rare or mega attack rare, I think it was. Charizard as well as an Oricoro, which I don't think the artwork for that has been, unless it's just the regular EX. Yeah. So we got a couple
there was speculation.
EX boxes, Zacian, and then I'm already seeing stuff here. Phantasmal Flames release seemingly delayed in Europe. I don't even know how that's possible. So maybe we can check this real quick.
Artificial hype?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Delayed by 2 weeks. So yeah, this is gonna be this. I mean, I don't know if it's just like the nature of the market and how much they're printing that they can't like keep up with everything, but it's starting to get a little bit out of hand. And this is definitely where I start to tread with more caution in terms of like not even buying, but just like feeling comfortable about like not selling anything. And I've been saying it for weeks that I need to sell something, but I haven't yet. So besides slabs, I've been selling slabs, but I need to sell probably a couple things just to build up some cash for if there's any good opportunities. But let's see what else we got.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that Zarude because I actually have it right here.
Oh yeah.
In my build pile. It does kind of look like it. So
yeah, I think the pack art itself from Vivid Voltage, I could be wrong, has Zarude. Looks very similar.
I have that too. I could go get it if I really wanted to.
Or no, I'll pull it up and then we can take this this comment. Let's see. Vivid Voltage.
It's got the same like action lines on the side.
Do like best selling, or actually I don't know. Oh, maybe it doesn't. Maybe he's just running. This isn't the pack art, but I can see him on here. Yeah, maybe he's not.
Oh, you know what? He actually looks like the never mind. It's gonna be too long to think of it. I think it's from Shrouded Fable.
Which card?
I can't remember the name. It's a bear. It's not Ursaluna. I think it's something else, but I can find it while you're. Let's. What do we got here?
Look up the research paper. Underpricing and perceived scarcity. Essentially, selling at a price lower than the secondary market can increase demand and perceived scarcity of a product. Selling lower than the secondary market. DNT, can you maybe elaborate on that a bit? Not sure I am following exactly. What's up, Raytech? I think Pokemon would prefer to sell with big box as they don't charge over map normally. Better contract for them versus selling to distros. Yeah, it seems like distros are definitely trying to get a piece of the gains a lot of people are seeing. And if there's not really any contractual requirement for them to not do that, then I don't see why they would. They're definitely trying to take some gains where they can. Does ZenForce really not use an ad blocker? No, I do not. Maybe I should start doing that because Poke Beach, among other blog post pages, yeah, they definitely blow you up. Oh, the Okie Dogie. Yeah,
Okie dokie, thank you. It's like
he
the same
does look
exact
like
pose.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of the colors are the same too. It's kind of like the watermelon-y colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. I can't believe I forgot. Yeah, his name. But it's a good one.
Yeah, was it just I think it was also like booster boxes and stuff. It wasn't just ETBs and UPCs.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, apparently it was I don't want to out myself, but I have a coworker who runs bots. I just sell to him, but like he apparently grabbed some. So the whatever drop happened was legit. He hasn't had like a cancellation or anything yet, but
here's
I
don't
know.
Post that was going around was this. I don't know which Discord group this is. Their comment was pretty funny in the in their announcement, but yeah, they said with over 42,000 items checked out, counting multi-count orders, it's beginning to look like it's out of stock. If Pokemon wanted to pull stock earlier, they would have well over an hour ago. Manual users checking out as well. Blah blah blah. And then obviously they love to boast about it. I mean, yeah, I know plenty of people that have these access to the bots as well, but it's just funny that Pokemon themselves was not capable of controlling this stuff on the back end. I mean, nightmare.
And I'm not big enough to experience this, but I know like Brian from Pokemon and other bigger sellers have talked about it. It's like I love when people like comment, oh, you know, why can't you control your bot situation? And it's like, bro, $1 billion corporation can't even control it. So what am I supposed to do about it? Like they've blocked me every single drop. Like I think the last PC ETB I've picked up organically through Pokemon Center was Journey Together. So
yeah, that was me too. That was the last one.
Every single drop after that, I've
and that one I was
my IP got blocked.
Yeah, I've had the same issues. So they're blocking the real people, but not the bots, I guess.
Yeah, that one's up too now, right? It's like 160 or 180, somewhere around there. I was surprised.
The PC ETB?
Yeah.
I have no clue. I know every single PC ETB has like shocked me in terms of just I think Obsidian Flames almost 1,000, 151.
Insane.
So and I sold all my all my PC ETBs I rotated into booster boxes, which is fine. But I think if I actually held the PC ETBs, I'd probably be doing better off, which is crazy.
But I think you'll be better long term though.
Yeah, I feel like I hedged right. Like I feel like I had the right idea, so I can't complain. And I do still have one case of prismatic PC ETBs, so I can't complain about that. Which
nice.
I'm in for $0 because before they put all these limits, I was able to get 2 cases from PC website, paid what was it, $250 a case, and then I sold 1 case for $1,600, and then the other one's just free rolled. iPhone, I'm assuming he's talking about your mustache because I got just dirt under my nose. But
thank you, appreciate it. I just yeah, it's a whole thing. Did you see the videos that I did with?
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that guy. I've seen him before, but yeah, he's quite the personality.
He is,
based on what I saw.
It's a funny story. Can we pivot into that really quick?
Yeah.
Cool. So basically, I'll keep it short. Basically, I always knew. So I'm based out of South Florida, and I always knew he was in Florida as well. But I thought he was like 3 or 4 hours away from me. So he reached out saying like he was looking for people to do some content with at a local anime lounge, and so we connected. I showed up like 3.5 hours late, but before I left my house, I had a full blown beard, and I thought to myself, how funny would it be? Because he's got like a even more majestic mustache, and he's got like the mutton chops and everything. So I was like, all right, how funny would it be if I just did the stash and showed up, and we just see what happens? And yeah, he absolutely loved it, and we did a couple pieces of content, and then I found out afterwards that he's actually local. So
So for
we're
anyone
like,
who doesn't know,
yeah,
is it
we're like
Pokey
15 minutes
Seas?
apart. Yeah, Pokey Seas.
So Michael and Pokey Seas. I don't know which one it was. It was this one, right? These two.
Uh, it was the one, yeah, the pack battle, and then the one to the right.
But yeah, you guys got the twinning stash, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, that was the first video. It was like I was like, dude, how funny would it be if we did this like reveal, and I pretended to be like a fanboy grunt. So that's like the whole persona now, and we'll see.
There you are.
We definitely have more content in the works, so I'm excited.
That's a big store. That's like not a small
Yeah.
store.
Yeah, and it's really cool too. It's called Guildhall, so shout out Guildhall. They're they're an anime lounge, so they have like right behind us where we're filming, like that part is the front of the shop. And they were having like a Pokemon trading day, but then behind us they do like Smash tournaments, so they have computers set up and you can play Smash. Um, they did like K-pop Demon Hunters. They did a
Hmm.
watch party slash like vendor event. So it's
Yeah,
like a
that's
whole,
awesome.
yeah, they have a lot of cool stuff there. Yeah, and we're both local to it. So like when we realized we were so close, we were just like, all right, we just got to do more. This is great. So
Yeah, no,
um,
that's I mean, that's kind of exactly what you were talking about off stream was like wanting to pivot into meeting more people, especially local would be great. Um,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I always knew South Florida was popping for that. You know, there was always so many shows. I mean, Florida got 2 Collecticons this year. It was crazy, but like I didn't realize like just how much goes on right in my backyard essentially. And I've been really bad about like networking and getting myself out there. So I'm excited to do
Hey,
that more.
better late than never.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Jacob says small set for Phantasmal. See how it does in a year. The only thing I'd combat this with, so I mentioned this last stream. I have two opinions about Phantasmal. Uh, the one opinion is Charizard sets historically the last couple years have been garbanzo, absolute terrible performing sets relative to the rest. Everyone always overhypes them because they think because it's Charizard, it's going to like come out the gate and smash. You have Obsidian Flames, which was a complete flop out the gate. You have Darkness Ablaze. Even the Japanese one was a complete flop. Ruler of the Black Flame. Uh, Darkness Ablaze was Sword and Shield. They had Champion's Path, which was okay. Burning Shadows and Hidden Fates obviously were popular at the time, but I guess for the last several years, let's call it 3 or 4 years, it's been very anticlimactic with Charizard sets. Now they do perform okay over time, but I mean, Obsidian Flames is doing better than Darkness Ablaze. So, but that card and that set have gone on an absolute tear last couple weeks. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't do as well as people think, especially if they really come heavy with the print run. And I have a feeling they will, just because they do this with Charizard sets often. But
Hmm.
Obsidian Flames wasn't too available. That's why it's kind of interesting now seeing how expensive it is. I think they're really, I mean, they did it maybe 2 or 3 reprints if I recall, but it feels like it's not as readily available maybe as some of the newer sets. So we'll see. But yeah, set size definitely has an impact. Um, Journey Together, and I mean, Stellar Crown is kind of like the one anomaly I'm seeing. Journey Together and Obsidian, small sets, they're both like not the greatest in terms of singles and stuff, but Stellar Crown has really low single values, but somehow that booster box has stayed really expensive. I think it's still 240, 250. So we'll definitely have to wait and see. Um, but okay, maybe this is DNT explaining his last point. Pokemon sells prismatic, that prismatic at MSRP under secondary market price. People flood to the stores because it's at a lower price, sells out instantly. Oh, I see. Okay. I thought he was saying that like stores would get their allocations and sell under market. But
Yeah.
I do agree that probably gives the perception, and also people seeing videos of people with carts full of stuff, they probably, even if they have no exposure to the hobby, if they see that video and then they go to the Target and they see any sort of product, they're going to be like, I need to buy this because
Mm-hmm.
people are buying it. But yeah, I do see what you're getting at there. The one thing that gets scary with this stuff is the people who have those cartfuls. If they can't get rid of those products, you do start to enter, and the market has a switch. You will enter an era where collection boxes go to like 25 bucks, 25 bucks. That was, I mean, for a long
That's what I
time you
want to
had
talk
that with
about.
Shining Fates,
Yep.
even Hidden Fates, and some other sets you had that back then. And people had like floor to ceiling collection boxes. It was a scary sight to see. Obviously, if you were able to weather that storm, you did pretty well. But
Yeah.
those boxes are still a nightmare to ship. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Even that. What was that Charizard? Was it not the Charizard UPC, but it was like the holiday box that came with the statue or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like that.
That
Even
thing was.
that's seeing insane growth now. But back
It's got a
even
lot
as
of
recent
packs.
as
I think that's
yeah.
why. It's got like
Yeah.
10 or 12
Great.
packs, I think.
Great pack value.
Yeah, it's like a mini UPC pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to talk about, especially. I want to dive into that a little bit more. The idea of like what happens when people have these mountains of product and it stops
So
moving.
let's get into that because I mean that is one of the main reasons why I mainly invest in booster boxes specifically.
Mm-hmm.
No matter the market, they appear to be the most liquid. There are people with dozens and dozens of cases to some extent, but it's usually not the everyday person. And a lot of people just don't have the patience to sit on those types of products. They don't think they look pretty. The cardboard box or the booster box, that maybe they just aren't fans. But I have found that it remains to be the most liquid product. I know PCETBs are right now. I still like, for me with PCETBs, something just still feels off to me. I don't know what it is. Uh,
They're gonna reprint them.
yeah, maybe. I think they're doing that with Destined, I heard, but I have no idea. But obviously, stamped cards always do well, I guess. But if I'm looking at the prices of like a $200 PCETB versus a $200 booster box, I'm usually going with the booster box in pretty much all scenarios. So
Yeah. I mean, especially when you think about it from like a pack value perspective, it's just
yeah,
there's
it's really
nothing
bad.
compares. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're banking on that promo like continuing to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Mm-hmm.
there are some. Again, there are anomalies. The Obsidian Flames one is, I mean, absolutely insane.
Insane. I mean,
But
even like the special sets, if we wanna, I know it's a different beast, but like the 151, I think they're a lot safer when they fall out of print rotation, as most things are safer once you reach that threshold. But yeah, it's just where's the ceiling? Like, you're really gonna find somebody willing to pay like thousands of dollars for something that has 11 packs in it and like a stamped promo? I mean, I guess, but I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, people just like unique things, so I think they will do well into the future. But a lot of them don't look different enough to me to make it worthwhile. But speaking of Obsidian Flames ETB, I just wanted to point out for this new Chinese gem pack that's coming out with some of the cool, unique card arts. This Cubone illustration rare actually has the Charmander illustration from the ETB in the background, which I had no idea about until this Courtyard posted it. But
Dude,
pretty
Chinese
insane.
exclusives are crushing. I wish I believed in them sooner, but I'm
Yeah,
definitely behind the eight ball there. I was extremely hesitant.
I
Extremely.
was too. I just thought there was like, I'd seen what happened with Japanese when they want to reprint and stuff, but it sounds like with Chinese it's one and done in most
Yeah.
cases. So
Well, I mean, you got to think about it this way, right? Like, what is it? Simplified Chinese is only a couple years old for Pokemon, so they're not going to do anything that compromises the long-term gain. Like, you could tell they're really playing for the long game here because they want to cement themselves as like, you know, you have English, and then you have Japanese, and then it's going to be simplified Chinese, and who knows, that might even overtake Japanese at some point. I mean, I doubt it, but like just the exclusivity, the way they're going about these releases, the fact that there's only a handful of distributors right now, like they got everything going for them. You know, they're the new kid on the block that's really making waves.
Yeah,
And
I think when you mix exclusive art with a brand new product, that it just can't stay cheap, right? Because like I think that's what happened with those earlier gem boxes. Is it's like all the booster boxes in English and Japanese to some extent, but definitely English, were so expensive to where anyone who just wanted to rip, even I was telling Retro this a while back, like even my coworker ripped a Gem Volume 2 box and pulled the Umbreon. And it's like, you can't get that Umbreon anywhere else. If it's
crazy.
a $40, $50 box at the time, obviously more people are going to start opening it. So, and that didn't last long. So obviously it's, you know, goated mustaches, all three of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You think Phantasmal's heavily printed? That's how the SIR leaked so early, if a real leak. Yeah, that could, I mean, that's a good point. Could be.
That is a good point.
Yeah, people at the facility or something.
I saw apparently it had like the number 94 on it or something, or like it had a number that would coincide with the number that's in the set. So it, you know, it could actually.
How do they know it coincides? Because there's been English cards leaked. Besides the
Yeah,
Charizard?
I might be
I don't know.
misspeaking on it. So let me see here. I think
There
it's
might be
because like it's numbered X out of whatever it's like the last card in the set or something. So people were thinking it could actually be. I'm trying to pull up the single. Let me see.
I just didn't know where we had seen the set number.
Yeah, I wish I still had that post up. Let's see.
If someone in the chat knows. Oh, Pokemon revealed cards at World with 94. But wasn't that, I thought they blocked out the number for the Mega
I thought so too.
Attack
For the mega
rares or whatever.
attacks, yeah.
So maybe it's the Japanese one. But that Charizard was English. That's why I don't understand. Which that's another thing that always confuses me. It gets leaked in like different languages constantly. It's like never like the same.
Yeah, it's always a different language.
Same language.
You would think it's always Japanese first because
Jacob, if you know, yeah, Jacob, if you know which card or post, feel free to let me know, and I will try to dig it up because that would be interesting if it is the same card number. Because that Charizard leaked like what 3 weeks ago, so that would have been well in advance to have the card number already leaked, I guess, that early. Especially if they're like intentionally blocking them out at Worlds, then that's crazy to have made it out.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I don't.
Yeah, they blocked the comic and manga rarity ones. Maybe those were, well, no, they're not specialty ones. Yeah, I have no idea. It's a good question. What else? Is there anything that you're like? I guess where are you at with the market as far as your strategy? Are you buying, selling, just kind of sitting, waiting it out? Because I personally am not buying much of anything right now. Even the promos that I was buying up, going very slowly at doing it, like the Eevee and the Snorlax, they've already like doubled or tripled since I started buying them. I'm like, all right, I'm done doing this, I guess. So I have like 5 to 10 of each of them, but I'm like, I didn't actually get to build like a meaningful position. I think the Mew UPC one is like $70.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's disgusting.
It's
if you held that from
disgusting,
$2, it's like 3,000% increase or something.
It's ridiculous. And I think back to like the amount of UPCs and ETBs like 2 years ago when 151 was everywhere, and like nobody, not saying nobody wanted it, but it was just everywhere. And I was ripping like crazy, and you know, I got pretty close to building a master set, but still don't have the Charizard, so it's basically irrelevant. But like I think back to, yeah, that card was $2-3 for the longest time. I mean, now it's got a nickname, and now it was pushing $100. I mean, it's just insane.
I think the 10s are like 700, 800. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts.
it's absolutely nuts. And even back then, I remember thinking like, this is one of the most beautiful promos I've ever seen. Like, how often do they do an SIR promo? And like even the Mewtwo, like looking over the city.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about aura farming. Like that thing is badass. And you don't think of these things like at the time, right? Because they're so accessible. The market's just a completely different environment, and you really have to be in this like investor business mentality. You really have to believe in the product like way more than you really need to believe in it. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy how different perception is when these market swings happen, and money's involved and demand's involved, and
Yeah,
you
it's
think you think
definitely.
you have the foresight, but you don't in the moment. you know
And yeah, and this is why people say time in the market beats time in the market, because with something like
Mhm.
especially overprinted promos, it feels like if they're $2, it's like I'm gonna have plenty of time to get this at 2, 5, 10, $15 or whatever. And it's just like every time those things gap up, they run up so much that I mean,
Mhm.
even if that Mew crashes down, I don't see it going below 40, $45 probably now. Like,
40. I would even I'm really bullish. I'd say yeah, maybe even 50. Probably
yeah.
40, 45, but I could see a world where it's never under 50 again. And it's it's because of that. I guess it's that, right? Like that's such a good quote. Time in the market versus timing it. And I feel like the longer something goes unnoticed, the harder the ramp up is, and then the smaller the fall is, because people are like almost making up for lost time. That.
Yeah, and people who I think that is like where and I haven't really gotten into it too much because I mainly do booster boxes, and then I've not really done the whole I don't even call it buyouts if it's not like on a huge scale, but I
Yeah.
did build positions in cards like the Evolution trainer galleries from Brilliant Stars, for example. I bought a ton of those for like $3 to $4 each and then sold them when they were like 8, $9. But you can imagine someone who again, the print population or the amount printed might seem like it's 100x what a normal card would be, but if an investor who sees it at $2 or $5 buys 100 copies, 200 copies, 300 copies, it kind of does the same that it would for a more expensive card where you might buy 4, 5, 10 copies or whatever. And so I don't think a lot of people think that's happening as much, or they think that when the price reaches too high of a price point, everything gets dumped at once. And I think the problem is that there's so many ways to sell products now. It's not just listing them on eBay, it's not just listing them on TCG Player. A lot of it happens off market behind closed doors. You have Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Reddit.
Mm,
You have people like Rudy who just sell
shows.
to their patrons. Yeah, you have shows. People will clear out your whole box worth of promos or whatever. Um, and yeah, I think it can switch hands without like causing a huge dent in the market. And so a lot of people think they don't have time, but it's not until it gets expensive enough that they are upset or think that it should be worth that much. I mean, a good example of this too is the Greninja Kingdra promo. Obviously, there was like buyout activity with those, but no one was like disagreeing that those were good looking cards. Everyone was saying these are like the best looking promos we've seen in a long time from
Hmm.
Pokemon. Even I was saying that, and I bought like 5 of them when they were like $8 or $10, sold all of them when they were like $20, and now I have one Greninja left, and it's like it's $60. It's like, dude, I should have just fucking bought more. But it's obviously like at the time, hindsight's 2020. Like obviously I say that
Hmm.
now, but
Yeah.
I think if you really stick to your guns and trust your conviction a little bit more, you will see pretty sizable gains, even if it takes longer. In this market, all it does is ramp up at a faster pace. I think those cards would have reached those prices in the next 3, 4 years, anyways.
Oh
Which,
yeah.
if you can stick it out, if you paid $8 for them, you're not going to freak out if they go back down to $4 or $5. Like you should be able to have some
Yeah. And
conviction.
entry
But
point matters 100%.
yeah,
More often than not, I've made plays where my entry point was off, or like I paid at a much higher price than I was comfortable with. And even though it's a product that if I held on to it, like even now, for example, I would have seen gains at the time. The entry
yeah,
point made all the difference for me. So.
no, and you definitely need to know like when. on the flip side, when to cut your losses. Because I've had products at the time, it was like it was Japanese Sun and Moon boxes. I paid absurd amounts. This was the only thing I FOMO'd into at the time, was the Dream League boxes during the waifu boom. I
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
2 Dream League boxes for $800 a piece. $800. And I think I sold them for like $450 a piece. So I was like a $900 loss. And then I traded, or I didn't even sell them. I traded the 2 boxes for a PSA 10 Uyama's Pikachu, and I sold that to get my liquidity out. And now the Uyama's is like a ridiculous price where I'm like, I
Yeah.
could have just, but you never know.
You never
At the
know.
time, it's still, I probably did more with that. I probably made the money back with what I bought. Because I really pivoted pretty much into booster boxes almost entirely. But
Yeah, that's a huge thing I wanted to talk about too, is like it depends on what you do, right? Like if you're in this hobby as an investor, or like let's say you have a really good full-time job and you just like to put your uh extraneous income like in collectibles, so you're just passively investing and enjoying your gains, or you're someone like me who's trying to take a more active approach, and be like a full-time seller. um where was I going with this? Like, oh, so if I were to invest in something, like the gains that I see from that item in the short term versus if I were to buy it and flip it and then keep rolling that into something else and letting that compound, you know, it absolutely can influence like your decisions on when to sell things or when to bail out of things or when to move on from things. And I think it all just depends on like, again, what you're specifically trying to do in the hobby, and also what you're trying to do with the money. So if you are just trying to park your money in some booster boxes, then yeah, I mean just hold on to them. You know, if you have the time to wait and you're looking at it more as like as your 401k or your, you know, your retirement fund, then wait as long as you possibly can, because these things will be very expensive in the future. You know, time will make sure of it. But if you're someone like me who's trying to take the more active approach, I don't think I ever answered your question earlier. I'm not really like investing in anything because I'm just trying to take all my liquidity and put it right back into the business and keep letting that
but
compound. So,
I think it's a little bit different for you in the sense that, I mean, you do probably have a decent amount of singles too, but like if you're buying, you're kind of wholesaling, or not wholesaling, but like you're selling a large quantity of sealed product, as opposed to, I feel like the issue with flipping constantly, and I've run into this, is that unless you really hone in on a few specific items or get really knowledgeable on a few types of cards, you actually can get rid of the gains similar to stocks. If you buy a bunch of
hmm
stocks, because I've had this happen. I had Google, for people that don't know, I had like 10 shares of Google, which is nothing. Like a couple weeks ago, I bought it at 170 a piece. So I was in it like 1700. It ran up to 195. I sold it. So I made like 200 something. I bought Amazon with the gains because I thought, oh, Amazon is going to have like insane earnings. They like just barely met expectations. It dumped. I lost all $200 that I made, and now I'm just like riding in Amazon. But I guess my point, and now Google is 220, 230 because they just
yeah,
beat their DOJ case or whatever. And so I would have made 3x by just not doing anything.
by not
I
doing
guess my
anything.
my point there is, if you are buying cards, you see the gains, you flip them, and then you buy a different type of card or a different card. You kind of have to continually be right to get those gains. Obviously, in a bull market, it's a little bit different, but my point is, when I found the most success at shows, vending, and kind of constantly burning and churning product, I really was picking up the same types of cards. It would be like the
Yep.
same Crown Zenith Galarian Galleries, the same alt arts, the same SIRs and IRs. I wasn't just taking things because it was a deal, unless it was a stupid like 60, 70% deal. I was mostly picking up
hmm
the same
Yep.
151 singles. There was a point where I bought, I think I had like 6 or 7 of each of the 151 starter IRs. So I had like 6 or 7 Bulbasaurs, Squirtles, Charmanders, and I could just flip. Like, people were constantly coming to buy those because all these people were trying to finish a master set of 151. Now I could have made more here and there doing other things, but I guess My point is, I found the most success kind of finding a type of product or certain cards that I really knew the price like the back of my hand and was following it closely, and kind of just burned and churned that way, as opposed to like constantly looking for the next deal. I've had moments where you get burned trying to do that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So that's a great quote. Time in the market versus time in the market. Yeah, this is not my quote. This
Yeah.
is like Rudy and like many other people say this, but yeah, it is a really good quote because it totally encapsulates like what, not even just investing, but just like your presence in the hobby. The longer you are involved and the less you like bounce in and out, I think the more you will learn and realize that a lot of this too is just buying when you feel like it's the right time, in my opinion, and not just like waiting for things to bottom or waiting for things to peak. It's like when you think that the price feels right, that's usually probably the best time to buy, in my opinion. Um, and then just sticking it out, like if you can wait it out for a few years, depending on the type of product. But yeah, it's a very good quote. I think it's kind of applicable to, again, my example with Google and Amazon, exact same thing. And granted, I only had it for like a couple months, but
Yeah.
if I just waited it out, I would have seen massive appreciation compared to like trying to time the top of Google and before the boom for Amazon, and then it did the exact opposite. So let's see. No King Gambit love. I haven't really looked too closely into that promo. I know which one he's talking about, the smaller
Yeah, from
collection box.
Shrouded.
Yeah. They did it. I mean, they did a great job with a lot of those promos.
I know. It's crazy that the best things that came out of Shrouded was their promos.
Yeah. I'm not a
Although
fan of the Pekarunt, but I just sent like 2 PCETB Pekarunts.
I love how I just have all the random singles that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, that is a banger.
It honestly, yeah, I was buying heavy into it earlier in the year, but I don't know what I did with them actually. But
Those boxes were, you could get them for like 12 or like $15, I'm pretty sure at the
I
time.
think I have one up there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Those, dude, Shrouded was the most available in big box. Any Target or Walmart you'd go
for
into,
sure.
no one was touching it. There would be like 10 Shrouded ETBs and nothing else. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
it was brutal.
Do you feel that collectibles as an asset class can be high risk since they have no underlying cash flows like a typical stock does? I'm assuming you mean like you can't just click the button to sell, or like there's no backing to them, like there's like ETFs and stuff and stocks. Yeah, I mean, I think it's risky to some extent, but I think the concept of just like, if you're talking about investing, I think the concept of just being able to buy the either the products or the Pokemon or whatever that you believe in, and kind of being able to stick it out. I mean, again, in stocks, they have the same issue where people try to day trade instead of like picking like these strong. I mean, even trying to beat the S&P 500 with single stocks is so hard. Like, it's actually hard. Because like even all the plays I've made since I started investing in stocks like 6 months ago, I'm like just at or barely beating the S&P 500. So it's like I could have done zero work, zero research, zero watching of finance YouTube, and just bought the S&P, and I pretty much would be at the exact same spot. So
Same.
yeah, which that again, there's people who want to be more risk adverse or whatever, but or do less work.
Yeah.
But I think with what we know about Pokemon and what we know about English booster boxes, there is not a single English booster box. This is Nostalgianomics is famous for saying this, and he's my goat.
He's not wrong.
He's the whole reason why I got into it. Was
Nice.
there's not a single English booster box that is not more expensive than it was when it released, which is a good point because it means that if you're able to sit it out or wait it out, and it's even easier than that. It's like an ETF or whatever where you could, or S&P, where you could literally buy one of every box, and you don't have to pick the right one. You will see like pretty consistent gains over time if you can wait it out a few years. And yeah, it's that simple. Obviously, you can make more money if you're in singles, slabs, burning and churning product, but you are putting in 20, 30 hours a week at a minimum to get those returns. And it does burn you out. So you just have to be willing to, especially if you have a full-time job, family, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you have, yeah, it can be exhausting. So I think the beauty of it is just that a lot more people are perking their ears up now and are interested in it. And if you have assets in Pokemon, you are doing very well right now just for having them. So whether you want to capitalize on those gains now or you think they can go higher in the next couple of years, that's remains to be seen. But I do think it's starting to solidify itself as uh, if you look at the amount of cards PSA is grading TCG versus Sport, it's not even close. TCG blows it out of the water. Pokemon itself blows a lot of individual sports out of the water. A lot of sports combined out of the water.
And it's if I can jump in too, like it's the highest grossing media franchise like of all time,
Yeah.
the highest grossing IP, and I think after we're approaching 30th anniversary, they've been doing it for 30 years. Like, is it still high risk, or is there like enough? Is there enough historical data that they have sort of a proven track record that it's pretty much its own asset class now that has cemented itself in history to just have growth?
I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I thought, what if I went to any random country on the planet? Would they know what Pokemon is? And the odds of it being yes are pretty high. Obviously, if you went into like smaller neighborhoods or whatever, they might not be exposed to the internet or Pokemon or whatever. But most countries around the world know what Pokemon is, which is like a very. I mean, they're literally developing cards in other languages now that they didn't have 5 years ago. They didn't have Taiwanese, Chinese, Korean. They didn't have all these different types of sets. They're literally expanding their brand into these other countries, and I don't think that part of it gets probably talked about enough. Also, we have this whole rip and ship thing, which I know gets probably beat like a dead horse, but it is night and day difference to a couple years ago when I first got introduced, and there was just a couple people on Twitch ripping and shipping packs. It's like a full blown. People are making more money than they did in their day jobs. Not even being like the owner of the channel. They'll just be like a streamer who works with 5 other streamers, and they're making 60 grand, 70 grand, 80 grand a year, whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously when the demand dies down, if and when it does, which it probably will at some point in the next couple years, months or years, that will probably slightly change. But I think a lot of people are becoming pretty adaptable in the collectible space and figuring out ways to find opportunities, whether it be with plays on cards or actual like business ideas, content ideas, branding ideas. I think when you have big companies like GameStop, PSA, people like Kevin O'Leary, whatever, all these people coming in, it's hard to. Those aren't going to be the things that kill the brand anytime soon. So it will definitely be interesting, I guess, to see where we're at 5-10 years from now. But I do think that I don't remember who I talked this about. It might have been with Amar last week, but I do think the next possible chance for a market cool off is probably after the 30th or immediately leading up to it, because I'm pretty sure what happened with Celebrations. I could be wrong, but I think Pokemon's really banking on Mega doing great because they have their game coming out. They want to sell obviously as many copies of this game as possible. I will be really interested to see how many units sell of the video game, not only starting out, but just over the next couple of years. Because I think Scarlet and Violet is their most sold units. And again, it might just be there's more people involved in Pokemon now. So even if it's a worse game, I think it has the most units sold for any of their games so far. I think it's like 30 million or 35 million. So
26.79, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. For my tech stocks, my sister works at Google, so I just buy or sell Google depending on what my sister tells me on how the business is doing. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Some of those big companies right now with all the AI stuff, they are definitely ramping up their businesses to like an insane, unprecedented rate. It feels like made me actually a good bit of money so far. Yeah, you can definitely make a lot of money in stocks as well. It's just not as fun for me. Honestly, I like the Pokemon aspect, but you do have a lot of cardboard taking up space in your living area, and yeah, there's not as much liquidity in the sense that like I have to go ship the thing, get a trusted buyer. There's fees
Yeah,
involved, all that sort of stuff. You don't really have a lot of that with stocks. There's very minimal fees, and you
very
just click a
minimal.
button.
Click a
But
button. I don't think that gets talked about enough, like the physical aspect of investing in Pokemon, how much space you need, like making sure it's in a temperature controlled environment so you don't damage your product. And then yeah, having to sell and ship it. I mean, a booster box weighs almost a pound. It's like 12 ounces or something. And to ship it, you're paying upwards of like $12 now. And as you mentioned, you got to find people who are trusted, who aren't going to charge back scam you. If you
I
don't have
literally just posted in my story before
I
this.
know I saw that. It sucks. It always sucks. And that was on eBay. So like even
Yeah,
if you use a platform like eBay or
he
TCG
had
Player,
190 feedback. He had 13 feedback in the last year, all positive. So I was just like, yeah, I'll sell to this person.
that's
And the worst
crazy.
part is I have a second card going to him.
Oh no.
So I'm going to get another email soon. But I talked to some friends, and most of them have won the case. But there is a possibility to lose it still, because I think eBay now goes in conversation with the bank. And so we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
I just thought the reasoning was funny, where it's like, was not aware of this purchase, or whatever the hell he said. It's like, God. But yeah,
Brutal.
there's a lot of elements to trading cards, collectibles, physical assets that do make it a bit more difficult. But
I was gonna say this might be a hot take. A lot of people fear they think like earlier that I'm sorry I forgot his name, but he mentioned like do you still think it's like a high risk asset class? I feel like it's more risky selling it, you know, than
yeah,
anything. So
you're saying as
that's
opposed to just holding it or whatever, or buying.
well, yeah, like if you were to like people think it's risky to buy it because they're gonna lose money, but I think it's more risky that once you've bought it, the selling part of it is riskier. So,
Yeah.
because even if you do an in-person deal, I mean, those usually pan out better, but like, oh, something could always
Also,
happen.
like, I don't think people understand the math of like actually the percentage gain they really need to see for it to be meaningful. I mean, honestly, it's
Hmm.
when you're just starting out buying product, it's not even the percentage gain as much as the dollar gain. If I buy something for $100 and it goes to $150, that's a $50 increase or 50% uh, return. But it's after I sell, I'm gonna lose like more than half of that. So, but if you bought it at $100 and it got to $500 or whatever, that percentage fee maybe isn't as like impactful, I guess. But a lot of people just think that like when something doubles or whatever, they need to sell immediately. And I'm just like, I think it depends on the product. It's kind of a case by case basis, and that is something where you don't learn unless the whole time in the market thing. I think over time you start to
Yeah.
understand like what's actually an acceptable return to you, or if you see a product or an opportunity that makes more sense in the meantime. Which, yeah, there's definitely some of those right now that are happening. It's crazy still at like some of these shows, the amount of deals that I'm seeing some of my friends get. I mean, it's crazy. I wish I had like the energy to keep doing it, but
Yeah.
I'm like a person who does something for like a few weeks or a few months, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. So
Yeah. I'm like, I'm a similar way. Well, I want to vend so badly, especially being in South Florida. I just mentioned like earlier, a lot that goes on down here, so I wouldn't even have to travel far to do anything. But I'm such an introvert who is like good at being social, but it, like you said, the energy side of it, it's so taxing on me, and then like my recovery process is lengthy to recover from like social events. So I don't get these people who are just able to just and they like travel all over the place and it's like how do you do it, man?
but
How do
I
you
know
do
we
it?
touched on it earlier. Something like live streaming maybe could be like a good middle ground, or like a rip and
Oh
ship
yeah.
where like you're sort of being social by talking, but you're not actually, you don't have to physically go anywhere or like be face to face. You could still like move product without, again, it's still going to be taxing in the sense that like you got to carve out time and set up and ship products and stuff. But I guess if it's not too dissimilar to what you're already doing, it could be. It's good to try everything at least once, and my advice if you're going to do the vending for anyone, whether it's you or anyone else, is definitely go with like friends your first couple times, or like get a table next to your friend or share a table with your friends. Because starting out, they will always have things you need, whether it's a Sharpie or like extra money that you like, you don't have enough cash or whatever, you pay them back. It just makes the whole process a lot easier than being in scramble mode where you're like, I don't have enough cash for you right now. I could Venmo you. They're like, no, I'm really looking for cash. And you're like, all right, well, I got to lose this deal, I guess. So, and also it just
Yeah.
makes it easier. You learn a lot more. When I first started, I just sat behind the table of a friend and just sort of asked them a lot of questions about like, how do you negotiate? Like, I mean, again, to this day, the whole trade at 80% is like mind boggling to me that it even exists. I still don't understand it. I've taken advantage of it many times, but I don't know how we got down to that percentage. Maybe it's because like eBay fees is already like 13% or something.
Yeah.
So they're like, I
Yeah.
can do a little better than that, but it's probably also from card shops being like really cheap in comparison, 60% or whatever they
Right.
do. So
I
it's
think
probably,
so. I think people go to their LGS and they're used to getting waxed at 60,
yeah.
65, GameStop, who remembers like the physical when you would go and trade in your physical games, they'd give you like pennies on the dollar. So 80% like feels good, I guess. And I've definitely taken advantage of it too. I'm actually working on implementing a like a trade-in system on our website so people can send me their
Yes.
collections and get store credit and things like that because I want it. I want your collections. I want your
That's
singles. I want your
it's a
slabs.
good way to move product too, where like
Yeah.
it helps get rid of the backlog of like boxes or sealed or whatever random miscellaneous products. Lets people open stuff and you get to like churn through.
Yeah, exactly. And, grade, try and like multiply. Grading is just a insane multiplier
Yeah.
once you get good at it. So, um yeah, but the trading at 80 for sure is a weird thing, but like from a business standpoint, I justify it as, you know, if you sell on eBay, it's 13%. Plus you have to put all the work in. It's not it's time consuming. Like
Yeah.
I don't even sell on eBay because it's so time consuming. I'll do it like occasionally, but because the reach is obviously just unmatched. But then you also have the chargeback risk, and when people are trading towards something, like you have this thing I want, I don't have to pay money towards it, or I have to pay like very little towards it. They're more inclined to do it. So
Okay, we've been having such a good conversation. I didn't even notice the time. So I want to wrap up in the next 15 or 20 minutes. But let's take these last couple comments and then I do want to quickly get into um the business stuff real quick because we're kind of already talking about it.
yeah,
Uh let's see. With modern starting to rip again, I could see high-end vintage plateau or retrace a bit, but I wonder what happens to black and white XY cards over the next few months, sort of being in the middle. Yeah, I never really know with these middle. I mean, they're not even mid-era in my opinion, but yeah, they are kind of like the beginning of black and white. I would consider still vintage-esque, but XY usually gets referred to as like the beginning of modern era. But I guess if you want to deem like full arts being the beginning of modern, then black and white could also be. But yeah, they're just not that popular of eras in my opinion until like the market really took off and then it started to appreciate them more. So it will be interesting to see what happens with them. I do think we were talking about a lot of these modern promos and stuff. I do think they'll be the most liquid over time. But if I had a bunch of PSA 10 Mews or whatever, um, or a bunch of raw ones, and I saw 2-3x right now, I'd probably be putting it into. I don't want to say safer because I'm a believer in modern over vintage, but like I wouldn't mind like trickling back and putting it in and diversifying it a bit, just because there is so much out there. But it will continue to be an amazing card that's probably always sought after. Mew, Gengar, Charizard to some extent, but uh, Umbreon. A lot of these cards they just perform so well over time. It's crazy.
yeah,
Yep, rip and ships helping drive sealed up too. That is definitely
oh
true.
for sure.
Soon with sealed prices, folks are talking about that prices will increase over time so much that we're skipping 1 to 3 years of accruing value and going to the end state. Um, I don't know exactly what that comment means. He's just saying that we're assuming they're going to be more expensive 3 years from now or whatever.
I feel like, yeah, like the first half is confusing me because I interpreted it as like we're speed running pricing right now, so like
Oh, I
we're
see.
gonna we're
Yes.
gonna
Okay.
we're gonna stagnate, yeah,
Yeah,
for
that
X
makes
amount of
sense.
time, which
No, I could.
I don't think so, but
Yeah, I
go ahead,
mean,
take it.
I somewhat agree with it in the sense that like things are ripping at a much faster rate than they should be, but I think we talked about at the beginning where like if Pokemon's not reprinting booster boxes, who's to say that? And again, Scarlet and Violet era is being ripped. The population is so much higher, but it is being ripped so much more than Sword and Shield. I would argue there's probably some Scarlet Violet era sets that have less pack supply right now than certain Sword and Shield era sets. Pokemon was just printing, finger on the trigger back then, and they've tried a few times. Like they did multiple rebits on Scarlet Violet base, multiple smaller reprints on Paldea, Obsidian, Paradox. It seems like there's a shit ton out there. So I don't know if they reprinted it or if there was just a lot more to begin with. But these are the packs that are being ripped right now because Sword and Shield era boxes have gotten so expensive that the packs are really expensive, and also the opening experience I think is much worse than Scarlet and Violet era. You get the
Hmm.
guaranteed 3 illustrations per booster box. Sword and Shield era, people will go through like hundreds of dollars of packs and get absolute garbage. So
Yeah.
it's a different era, but I do think that the rip and ship era has really taken off during Scarlet and Violet. Has helped keep it up a bit. Do I think Evolving Skies will keep going up in price? Yes, I do. Honestly, firm believer in Sun and Moon as the nexus of scarcity, but also cards people actually want. Yeah, it's a good point. I think it's like the beginning of the alt arts. I'm really not a fan of like the vibe of the era in terms of like I don't resonate with the characters or the Pokemon as much. But um if we what we saw with Sun and Moon, even the lower end boxes, the least popular boxes, it's pretty promising for future eras as of right now, unless everyone decides to pack it up and leave. So, but there is a lot more people holding the product, like myself. I wasn't doing that a couple years ago. So you're going to have more people with the product, but I also think you're going to have people that are willing to wait a bit longer. And also, I think the popularity of the hobby and the IP is even more than it was a couple years ago. So even if there's more people
Hmm.
holding the product, I think there's more people that are going to be willing to buy the product. So that's just my feeling on that. But okay, let's quickly talk about some business stuff. So we kind of have your backstory on it, so we don't really need to go into that. What are some common misconceptions you hear others think about when it comes to starting a Pokemon business or running a Pokemon business, Pokemon card business specifically, um, or owning an online card store in general? Like, what are some things where you think people might think it's a breeze or it's super easy, or you just get a ton of sales because you have the
Yeah.
product or you have distribution access? What are a couple common misconceptions that you hear or think about with having an online card store?
I would say the main one is that you make money. Uh, no, I'm just kidding. Not really though. But seriously, like I think the first misconception is I'm gonna be able to go to Facebook Marketplace and like buy this, Destin Rivals ETB for $100, and then I can go online, post it for 120, and make $20. It's like that's just not how it works. First of all, eBay, TCG Player, they take out fees, and oftentimes that 13 to 15% is your entire profit margin if you're even lucky to have that big of a profit margin. So I think the misconception is like how easy it is. Oh, like I can just go find this product, buy it, and I'm gonna, post it for whatever and make my money. And there's so much nuance that goes into it. And we kind of touched on it earlier. It's like it's knowing you do have to understand to an extent like the market trends. You do have to understand what's a good set versus a bad set. What are people buying? What are they not buying? What's a good entry point? And then all of that comes from experience, of course, and time in the market, right? Um, and then on top of that,
Time in
yeah,
the business.
time in the business. Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning so much every single day. Um, I'm excited for 2026 because I can take everything I've learned this year and hopefully hit the ground running a lot faster going into next year. But yeah, that's a huge one. Is just thinking it's so easy to make money. I mean, these Destined Rival ETBs, like I thought I bought them at a decent price. I still have them. You know, like the same case that I bought 2 months ago. I still have over half of them. So not everything is super liquid. Not everything moves really quick. Um, yeah, I think another misconception is everybody's a scalper. It's like you're a scalper, I'm a scalper, he, she, we're all scalpers. Just because I have this product or I have, something else. And my favorite is like I never used to respond to them, but as I've gotten a little bit bigger um, online and there's people who actually comment on my stuff, like they'll comment for me and they'll be like, he sells mostly Japanese. How the hell is he a scalper? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's impossible to scalp Japanese. We're the ones being scalped, actually. So, in case you guys didn't know, um,
You
so
fly to Japan and you knock down their doors, take all their product.
exactly, take all their product at $40 a box and come here and
Yeah.
make 2.5x. Yeah, no, it doesn't
After
work
the
that way.
$1,500 plane ticket, by the way.
Yeah, it's
So,
brutal. Wait, and that's on the. Yeah, I think it's even more money for me. So it's
yeah,
yeah,
and that's on
forget
West
about it.
Coast. I'm on the West Coast,
Exactly. So it's even more for me because I got to fly to. Yeah, exactly. So it's just
so.
it's it's crazy, but
No, I mean, I think you brought up something really good, which is that like understanding the market conditions and also knowing how much to order of certain, knowing what sets are
oh
going to
yeah,
be, because again, the concept I was mentioning earlier, you could just buy one of every booster box and coast on it and do really well. But if you're a store, you have to kind of tweak your spend based on how much you think people are going to buy, because um, again, if we go a year ago, literally a year ago, there were stores like Pokemon and other even up and coming bigger stores that were selling Scarlet Violet Era boxes for 100, $110 or whatever. Um, because they
hmm
have, a lot of people would just say, why don't you just sit on the product? Well, they have to, especially if you have a physical location, but even online stores, you have to keep selling the product in order to have cash flow and like being able to reinvest back into the business. And so at the time, again, it's like no one knew what there was going to be a boom at like the end of the year. If they did, no one would have sold, or like
yeah,
everyone would have bought more and just waited. I think that's, people are so like naive and just like assuming stores
yeah,
know exactly what's going on. It's like they are running a business at the end of the day. They have to keep the lights on, especially if they do it full time. They have to sell product. They have to keep money coming in, whether it's to pay employees, pay for the utilities. If it's an online store, uh, yeah, and it's their full time job, they got to pay rent and stuff still. So,
hmm
okay, so what do you think are some? I guess that is kind of do's and don'ts. What do you think are some of the most helpful tips for a new business owner? Again, specifically with an online or a Pokemon card store in general, um, card shop. What are some tips that you think you wish you knew back then that you practice now that are really helpful?
I would say trust your gut is probably the biggest one. I mean, I know it's a little ambiguous and maybe not everybody has a good gut, but more often than not, I've made like a poor business decision or judgment call, or I sold something too early, or I over leveraged in something else because I went against my gut. And I was almost always right, like on the hindsight of it. So,
The
just like
initial instinct was what was
yeah, the initial instinct. And so you got to have like a little bit of a intuition for this stuff. And on the flip side of that, I think another good tip is like always be learning. So there's so much noise and there's so much junk out there, and like you go on YouTube and there's like market watch after market watch after market watch, and people just saying the same thing: buy these 5 cards, and hold this item, and here's a play here. And you do need like to understand how to sift through all the noise, but like just truly gaining understanding on the industry is going to be really helpful, because so many people, will be in my DMs and they'll say, "Hey, I love Pokemon. I'm so passionate about Pokemon. I want to start selling Pokemon. Like, what tips do you have for me? How can I get started?" And that's great. We're all in this because we love Pokemon. And if you want to start selling it, you really got to love Pokemon. But there's also the business side of it. It's a business. You need to make money. You need to be for profit. And that is a completely different way of thinking. So if you don't already think that way, or you don't have any knowledge as to how to think that way, then educating yourself is absolutely paramount. So don't just go and listen, don't just go to Nostalgianomics and listen to everything he says. Like, actually educate yourself
Right.
on what Pokemon people want. What are the highest volume selling, singles on TCG Player. And what's nice is you have like access to all that information now, and there's so many different apps that can help you too. But yeah, um, and then I would say the third one, if I had to add one more, like being able to pick a focal point. So, and you kind of have to do this through experimentation. So we touched on some of the different ways to sell. Like, you can sell Japanese, you can sell English, you can have an online shop, you can do vending, you can do rip and shipping. There's so many different ways to sell the product. So I think dabbling in all of them and trying to figure out what works best for you based on what you love and what you're passionate about and your personal situation is so important, because you can make money doing all of them, but you have to find the right one to really make the money, and then maybe turn it into like a full-time thing if possible. So yeah,
I
take
think
the
that's
time. Yeah.
really good. That's a really good piece of advice. Like, um, yeah, there's so I don't think anyone's struggling to figure out ways to sell the product. It's really finding out which way you enjoy the most, and is like, I hate using the word frictionless, but like has the least amount of friction that's going to cause you the most headache, make you the most uncomfortable. Like, there's going to be days where you don't want to do it, and so which part of that business is going to be like, for me it was vending at first, until I realized how physically demanding it was on my body, whereas like I was only doing it once a month or like twice a month. I was like, these guys are doing 4 or 5 shows a month, and they're just keep going. I'm like, how could you possibly think you're going to do this for 5 years, 10 years or whatever, even if you're making a lot of money now?
Yeah.
Granted, I do think a lot of those people will figure out a way to pivot, but I guess my point is, like, I was sort of doing something that I knew deep down wasn't going to work out long term, just because I was seeing the short term gains of those 20% trade ins, or buying collections at 70%, which again, it's nice to trickle those in every now and again. But I definitely am trying to figure out right now, I'm trying to focus more on the content. I've still been slow to roll on it, but um, eventually I do think there's going to be more unique ways to sell some of the products. So we'll definitely have to see. But um, so another question, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. What do you see? Well, maybe this isn't the right way to put it, but I was going to ask, what do you see happening to a lot of these smaller businesses when market conditions change? I think the answer to that is probably pretty obvious. Most probably will not make it long term, but I'm curious then, how do you personally set yourself up as a business to survive and weather like any market? Whether that, like, and you can answer that however you want, whether it's like structurally, financially, any systems that you put in place, like to make sure that even if we have a crash, like either you're able to sell your inventory, or it's not just all in one thing. How do you pivot yourself or position yourself to be able to sort of survive the goods and the bads?
Yeah, this is definitely um, a heavy question, if you will. So, I mean, you already said it, but unfortunately, whoever's listening to this who has a small business or is trying to make it through all of this, there's a high probability that you might not make it. There's a high probability that I might not make it, unless I can position myself better in 2026 specifically. And there's a lot that goes into it. But the first thing I would say the most important thing is you need to build a brand. Like people have said it since the dawn of time, but why are we still buying from Apple versus Samsung? Samsung makes a superior product. Why are we buying Apple? It's because of the brand. It's because of what they created, right? The product that they created. So it's a little bit different for us because we're not creating product per se. We're just selling Pokemon. But if you can build a brand that can withstand those market trends and the test of time, Brian from Pokémon, Nostalgianomics, Jar Chomp Collectibles and Coop and all of these really big names who are doing something unique and something different in the community, people start buying into you and your brand versus your product. So what happens when the market trend shifts, the market shifts, and let's say there's a set that comes out and everything collapses and people stop buying? Well, there's still going to be people who consume Pokemon. Like we don't just stop collecting because of it. If anything, there might be some people who, yes, this is my chance. I've been waiting for this moment. Who are they going to buy from? Are they going to buy from the Joe Schmo shop, or are they going to buy from Castell Collectibles, or ZenForceTCG, or the people who they've been watching, the people who they've already kind of been supporting, the people who they've been enjoying their content and interacting with to some limited capacity. Like these are the people who are going to withstand those trends. Now, as far as like how you can physically set yourself up, well, cash is king. Like capital, you absolutely need capital. So don't over leverage. I mean, just don't do it. Don't go into debt to buy product to sell because you think you're gonna, 2 or 3 or 4x, and then go, oh yeah, I can pay off my debt, and now I just made, a few $100 or whatever. You need to have some capital starting out, and I think something that took me a really long time to learn is operate within your means, or like play on your level. Like there's gonna be people there's people who are eons ahead of me, and then there's people below me who are like, how am I going to get up to Castell Collectibles? And then I look at myself and I'm like, I'm not even that big, bro, like at all. you know if somebody were to come to me and say, hey, I got $1,000 in product I want to buy, I'd have to be like, all right, let me check. Yeah, I think I could do that. Like I don't have as much as people think I do, and that's okay. Like you have to find success like within the level that you're on, and just trust that if you keep putting the effort forward, you can go through and level up essentially, and build and compound. So just don't try and jump the gun by over leveraging or by overextending, and just make sure you always have the capital. And yeah, so and that goes with just time in the market, right? Understanding like, okay, what's my sell through rate for a specific product? Then that's what I'll restock. Why, like, and then I'll add a few more boxes on top, and then you just kind of go step by step there. So I think you set yourself up by being like smart and patient, and by building your brand, because you need to have, as Pat Flynn puts it, your super fans. You need to have the people who are going to support you and buy from you, when everybody else leaves, because the hype's dead. And you can do that in many different ways. You can build your own unique products. I sell variety packs. I'm working on mystery packs. Um, I might try the rip and ship thing. So there's definitely unique ways to build your brand to get that support. But yeah, I would say those are probably the biggest things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I would piggyback off that by saying the best way to build your brand, in my experience, and just for what I've seen online, is to make content. So some
Yeah.
people are going to be uncomfortable with that and they don't want to put their face on camera. I know I was when I first started a long time ago, for not even Pokemon content, for like video games and stuff. It's super uncomfortable. But you can make content without showing your face. There's plenty of people who do it with just their voice. They have their little jingle or whatever. Even Pat's content, you barely see his face unless it's like a convention or whatever. So there's
Yeah.
definitely lots of ways to do it. Um, but yeah, I agree. I think building a brand is probably the best way to have a lasting business, whether you're in an up or a down market, because then the value of the product like is kind of irrelevant. You can just tweak how much you have of something relative to the market. So Brian from
Hmm.
Pokémon, if the market takes an absolute dump, he probably will be able to order more product for cheaper again and be able to just sell more to meet like the same however much he was selling before. So I think a lot of people just see the end goal of the dollars or whatever and jump too quick probably, or want the method that's going to make them the most money without really thinking through what they're personally able to do with, like you said, living within your means, or your setup or whatever. Maybe you don't have enough space to invest in product. And so maybe the rip and ship thing is the easiest way because you just need a table and a phone and a camera or whatever, or maybe you don't have the time to travel for vending or whatever. So you definitely got to analyze those things and just try different things, see what works best for you. And then just, really double down. The biggest thing is just staying consistent. I have ebbs and flows all the time. I know everyone else does. I'm trying to get to that point where I can stay consistent, but also I'm not trying to take it full time as of now. So I don't think I'm like treating it as urgently as I probably should. I think if I quit my job, I probably would figure out a way to make it work. But yeah, I think the more you can do one video a week, then 2 videos a week or whatever, or post a day, a story a day, whatever, engaging with people. Networking is also a huge thing. Like people who have access to certain products or certain groups or whatever will reach out to you. A lot of people who have sold to me either at shows or online before reach out to me time and time again. And they say, hey, do you want this? I want to just run it by you first if you want like these promos, or I know you were looking for booster boxes. And right now I'm not buying much of anything, but it's still nice to like get that gesture because there is like a brand component to that, or even like a networking component where they're like, I trust this individual. We do repeatedly good business. I want to go to them first and then I'll list it on Facebook or whatever. So
Yeah.
Connor says iPhone builds a superior product. I chose them because it's superior. I don't think it really matters. Ultimately, it's people are going to continue to buy iPhones just because they like the brand, they like the experience is also a thing. Like, and you're kind of building on a daily basis. How you interact with customers or people is like ultimately what they're gonna remember you as. When the market shifts, they're gonna be like, I still had the best experience with Michael or whatever, and I like the way he does things, so I'm gonna continue to support him.
Yeah, it's cheesy, but it's true. Like people might not remember what your name, your face, or what you told them, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. So, and I'm sorry, scalpers and scammers who just want a quick buck, but you ain't gonna make much money in the long term because your people skills suck. So you got to be a good person.
Dash the collector or Doc the collector? Who's this cutie with the stash?
Oh, pay no mind to that guy.
All right, this will be our last question, then we'll get out of here. In the long term, reprints will bring down the value of hit cards. Obviously, with more cards in the wild, the market will eventually go down. Yeah, I think honestly, it has less to do with the supply of the hit cards at this point than it does like the amount of people buying them. Because again, I think there are a lot of people who will buy large quantities of these cards when they hit certain prices. But if they reprint a lot of boxes and stuff, I do think people will want to sell, or it will just equalize a little bit more where like things aren't constantly like taking legs up. It feels like every week I log on and there's a new product, new box, whatever, that's just going on an absolute tear. This week it was Battle Styles and Vivid Voltage running to like 250, 260 a box. I think I saw a post that the Sleepy Tyranitar got bought out too. And so it's chaos.
Dude, it's like $400 right now.
Yeah, it's chaos. So definitely don't go all in on anything. And positioning yourself in this market can be difficult when it feels like there's not many opportunities for things to buy, or like that things have already risen so much. But I would just say buy some product and keep some cash on hand. That way you can dollar cost average if things go up or down. And or you just catch a reprint, or the new set comes out and it's not as hype as people think, but you want it. All those sorts of things in between. But
I also think a big like reprints only do so much in the short term, but in the long term, when it comes out of the wash and everybody has their personal copies, or everybody graded X amount of copies, like you see it with some of the more popular cards, with the pops being so high, and everyone always says, oh, but there's 20,000 of them, so why am I going to pay $2,000 for a Bubble Mew? It's like because there's 50,000 people who want the card. Like, I think just the scalability is still really hard to wrap your head around for most people, myself included, because coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, I think I mentioned before we went live, like our cards, it just doesn't even compare. Like the TCGs don't compare, but people who collect Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, they have such a hard time understanding how Pokemon works, and it's because Pokemon's just quite literally on a different level. And as you mentioned earlier, it's like you could throw a rock at this point and somebody knows Pokemon, like
Right.
beyond just Charizard or Pikachu. You can go to a different country and throw a rock and somebody knows more about Pokemon than just Pikachu or Charizard. So it's like it's just the demand. As long as the demand stays there, even if the market's down, like these, these cards are always going to have value. And whenever there's that slight upturn, we know what Pokemon's capable of now, so we'll have those people who will capitalize on that, and by buyouts or whatever else,
Yeah, I
or
think
by
we're all
yeah,
so focused on the market too that like if and when it does start to downturn, people will race to the bottom, but I'm just saying it will become very evident and very clear when that starts to happen. Um,
yeah,
so any time products slow down or stop right now, they're really just consolidating before they take their next leg up, unless the market really has a change conditions. So
yeah.
okay, last question, Joe, and then we're getting out of here. Thoughts on buying from good scalpers? For example, I buy from a college student that buys up inventory from all the local stores and machines while people are at work. Sales are for over 20% MSRP. I don't know what about that statement makes them a good scalper, unless maybe they're paying for their school with it or something. But still, I don't know if that's like the best business practice. Honestly, I don't think it really matters who you buy it from right now,
Yeah.
because if you don't buy it from
Hmm.
someone else will in this current state of things. But
Unfortunately, yeah.
when the time comes that people don't want to buy it or they agree that the price is too high, that's when I think we see prices come down. But yeah, it's probably people who have no business being in Pokemon right now are buying Pokemon cards. Again, when I saw the Hyundai dealership selling Pokemon cards, I knew we were nowhere near
Cooked.
the top. So
Yeah, it's brutal. And I always say, like, this goes back to what I was saying about building a brand. Like, just buy from who you like. Like this stuff is out there, and unless you have somebody who's giving you like a really, really good deal, which is just unfortunately not really going to happen in this market right now, unless they're scamming. Um, just buy from who you like. I
yeah.
mean,
Now the place I've had the most success is, and you can still get scammed for sure on Facebook and Instagram and Discord, but if you get like people with really good references, again, you could still get scammed if someone has a ton of references. But just do your due diligence, check with people. Like there's a lot of times where like I'll get someone with references on like buying a collection, and they have a reference from someone that I've done business with before, and that makes it a lot easier and like seamless. Um, but that's probably the only place you can really find meaningful 20-25% deals, 15 to 25% deals right now is buying in bulk from people local or people online that are trusted, have a good reputation, that you're taking like a decent amount of their inventory or the whole binder. A lot of it, you're going to have to take the junk if you want the good stuff.
hmm
But as long as you're able to sell through the junk, you should be okay.
yeah,
Or at least try to earn your cost basis back or something like that, or grade some of the cards that are gradable, sell off the rest. There is a lot of opportunities still. I think that um, we're just all so tunnel visioned on everything right now, and it's amplified by social media. We all post about it. It gets hyped up. All these Discord groups hype it up. Posting it, all these product drops and stuff. So it does feel like people are constantly um, making the FOMO seem really bad, which it is bad. But I'm just saying,
yeah.
we can all put our phones down and also realize that,
Touch grass.
yeah, there's no Pokemon in front of us or whatever, so we can survive without it. But
Sometimes I feel bad, like when I post like about it as well. I do like the new product or new items and in news out. I'm essentially like a news outlet on my feed. I feel like I'm contributing a small amount to like the FOMO and stuff, but really I just want people to know like what's going on. But it's getting it's getting to be a little much, honestly.
yeah,
Just new product after new product, and I'm starting to like not be able to keep up with it, or just get a little what's the word? Exhausted, like tired.
Yeah, I tried doing that for a while too. I found that there was going to be pages that were way faster than me, or I'd be at work or whatever, and I'm like, this is not worth it to
Yeah.
me. But it is still a good way to like get exposure and people see that like you're talking about things or whatever, and people ask questions and all that. So there is some fine lines to it. Yes, marketplace can be a great place. I honestly think the best place for me personally has been actual Facebook groups. So if you just go on Facebook, type in Pokemon buy, sell, trade, there will be 100+ groups that you can join where people ship across the United States or internationally or wherever. And yeah, as long as you get people with good references and really vet them, you can usually do pretty good business. Whether that's to buy large collections to sit on or to flip or whatever, there's definitely some good opportunities there. So take advantage of that if you want. But other than that, Michael, thank you for coming. Here is his Instagram again for anyone still with us that wants to check him out. Feel free to shoot him a message, buy some Japanese product from him, support a small business.
Appreciate it. We're also throwing singles and slabs on the website soon. So
nice. Yeah, so definitely go check that out. And really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can have you back soon. And yeah, I don't think there's much else to be said unless you have something for me.
No, I think that it was a great talk. There's still so much I'd love to talk to you about. So
I know.
I would definitely, I feel like we just touched the tip of the iceberg there.
I know my
know, like, it
girlfriend's
took
probably like 10 minutes away from us, so I will have to go. But we definitely
You're good.
we'll get chat going in the DMs too, and then we can
Yeah.
schedule something in the next month or two to have another chat on here.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again. Thanks for having me. Just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Great talk. Part 2 TBD. Yes, part 2 to come in the future. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a good rest of your, I guess it's Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah, have a good rest of your Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll stream tomorrow. I might do a Friday. If not, we'll be back on Tuesday again. So thank you all. Have a good night. Peace.